496-5555. Jacksonville.
Second down, 13. At 45 of Baltimore. Brunell back in the pocket. Has a bit of time now being chased. Plants throws. He's looking downfield. He's got a receiver. And it is caught. Jimmy Smith at the 5. Into the end zone. Touchdown, Jacksonville. He just Wayne Starks for 45 yards.
Barks out for signals. Drops to throw. Has time. Fires the slant. Jimmy's got it this time. 35, 30. Middle of the field. 20. He's going to the 20-yard line. He's going to score. 10, 5. Jimmy Smith. Touchdown. And the Jaguars are right back in this ball game. Barks out the signals. Pressure coming. Steps up. Steps. Turns. Throws. He's got Jimmy. First down. 20. There he goes. 10, 5. Touchdown. Win. Jacksonville. Done under pressure. Steps to avoid. Turns and throws. He's got him in. Caught Jimmy inside the 40-yard line to the 37 and down to the 36.
Congratulations to Jimmy Smith. That is now his 800th career reception, and what a play to get it on.
This team winning right now, it helps bring so much attention to our franchise, what we did back in the day, like we were talking about, these Hall of Fame conversations. But when we're winning, we see the conversations pick up. So we have noticed that. So obviously, I'm pulling for my team to get to this Super Bowl.
1010XL 92.5 FM presents Jaguars Today with your hosts Mike Dempsey, Tony Smith,
John Shipley,
and Dylan Denmark.
Every time sneaks in there on me. John Shipley is joining us for the show. This morning you heard a little Jimmy Smith there in the open. You know, the Jags in the history of the franchise have only had one wide receiver hit the 500 reception mark. They've only had two wide receivers hit the 400 reception mark in franchise history. And I think the question we're all asking ourselves right now is, how many years does it take Brian Thomas Jr. to hit 500? Right? And we all think it might be as soon as 4. He has the opportunity to do that kind of thing on his rookie deal to be second in franchise history by the time that he's done with that rookie deal. And we're all screaming about get the deal done now. Yeah. Now for Brian Thomas Jr. Yeah, it's Jimmy Smith leads the all-time franchise with 862. You heard in the open there his 800th catch with Jeff Lageman on the call there in the booth. And Keenan McCardell is number 2 on the list with 499.
That's just bonkers, isn't it?
One away from that 500 mark, and there's nobody else with 400. Every now and then I get trapped into looking at these kind of numbers in Jaguars history, Ship, and it always gets a little bit depressing, right? Because it has been 30 years, and you got Jimmy, who's a Hall of Fame candidate. Okay, that's awesome. He's amazing. He's in that kind of level. Keenan with 499. Do you know who 3, 4, and 5 on the list all time for the Jags are?
Man.
It'll make you sad a little bit.
3, 4, and 5 is...
None of them are wide receivers.
Kyle Brady, one of them?
No, he's 6th.
Mercedes Lewis?
Mercedes Lewis is 3rd.
Okay. Got to be two tight ends from the early Jaguars. Who is it?
Mojo and Fred.
Oh. That's...
Right.
That's it, and it isn't like they haven't tried. It seems like since Jimmy retired, and even since before Jimmy retired, they were trying to find the next guys. Guys they've spent first-round picks on: R.J. Soward, Reggie Williams, Matt Jones, Justin Blackmon. Guys they spent second-round picks on: DJ Chark, Allen Robinson, Marquise Lee, Laviska Shenault, and then even some of the veterans they brought in: Christian Kirk, obviously, Calvin Ridley, etc. They've really tried at everything, I think, to try to find those next great receivers. But now it does seem like they finally have a guy who has a chance to hit those in Brian Thomas Jr. And it took Keenan playing Jacksonville for 6 seasons, I believe. Mm-hmm. So he hit 499 in 6 seasons. I think Brian Thomas Jr. can get there, I'd say around year 5. You start seeing him creep up on Keenan. To get to Jimmy, though, he needs to be a career-long Jaguar, I think, to hit those Jimmy Smith marks. And, of course, after 1 year, that should be everybody's hope, is that this is the kind of talent who you never want to let. If he plays for another organization, that's a failure by the Jaguars.
Well, unless it's like just at the very end.
Yeah,
he wants to kick the tires for one more year, kind of thing, like Torrey Holt wound up here.
It'd have to be a Emmitt Smith, Arizona Cardinals situation.
Like you can, it happens across the league.
Yeah.
The guys are with teams that say, "Look, we love you, we just can't do it." For one more year. And he's like, well, I want to keep playing. It's like, best of luck to you.
Tyler Lockett's a good example. He was in Seattle a long time. Now it's kind of wasting away in Tennessee.
Like, that's the situation where BTJ plays somewhere else, and we're like, all right. And we'll kind of all be paying attention. Like, well, let's see what he does. That's kind of cool. Get him 60 more. Just pad the stats for Brian Thomas Jr. at that point. By the way, again, just looking at these numbers in franchise history, Matt Jones is 17th all time. In Jaguars receptions with 166.
That's bonkers.
Right. Just behind Christian Kirk, TJ Yeldon is 15th in franchise history.
They were all screens.
Yeah. Mike Thomas is 14th. They're tied for 14th with 171.
Who's the most surprising name in the top 10?
In the top 10, surprise would be hard to say, right? Like you mentioned Kyle Brady at 6. The rest of the top 10, Evan Ingram is 7 with 234.
I'm a little surprised he's that high.
Yeah. Allen Robinson is 8 with 202. Pete Mitchell 9th with 191. That's the early tight ends that you were trying to get to there. And Allen Hurns is 10th.
Where would Allen Robinson be if he didn't have that knee injury and didn't immediately have his knee padded? That's one of the funniest Jaguars clips that there is. He's on the field. Blake Bortles just comes up, gives him an attaboy, and the knee he just blew out.
Maybe if you are talking, the biggest surprise is that tied for 10th all time in franchise history in receptions is Reggie Williams.
Man, that is. So I guess my question would be, how long does it take Brian Thomas to even get into that top 10? Like, can he do it by the end of year 3? I mean, Allen Robinson only really had 3 years.
He's already 25th.
He's already 25th. Have you looked at the passing ones recently? Because I'm doing something. I did, 3 best Jaguars free agents they've signed, 3 worst they've signed. I'm now looking at best and worst of each position. So I'm doing something on quarterbacks. And I was looking at numbers yesterday, and it is like you put for the wide receiver list. It is not a great representation of where the passing game has been in Jacksonville. I thought Byron Leftwich had not only been more productive, but had played more for the Jaguars. I don't know what my thought was, but I look at it, I'm like, he really barely was a starting quarterback.
Yeah, and I guess talking about BTJ getting into the top 10, what percentage chance do you give him to hit 103 catches this year? Because that puts him top 10.
Part of me wants to say, lean towards strongly think he will do it, because I do think for all the weapons that they do have, Travis Hunter, De'Ami Brown, the guys in the backfield, Britton Strange, whatever his passing role looks like, I do think the passing game is still going to go through BTJ. Like, he's still going to be the dominant alpha male.
And they're talking about moving him around.
100%.
Like running him out of the slot, like playing him everywhere.
100%. I would think it's still realistic, because for as much as they like the other guys, Travis Hunter for, being the number 2 overall pick, like, he's obviously going to get a lot of run, but you also have to factor in he's still going to play a lot of defense. So maybe he's not, as full-time as the other guys.
Sure.
De'Ami Brown, they're obviously very excited about. I actually think De'Ami Brown's kind of in the ideal role for him, that, the Jaguars have a dynamic number 1, and they have a potentially second guy who can be a dynamic number 1 kind of receiver in Travis Hunter, that De'Ami Brown can kind of do his thing as the number 3 pass option in the offense. So I think he has a lot of guys around him who can take some targets, but I would lean toward Brian Thomas hitting 103. 1, because of his natural talent and the fact that he is the unquestioned number 1. He's the guy in the receiver room. And then 2, Liam Cohen can probably scheme a good amount of easy catches his way. I mean, we've talked about it before. I mean, Baker Mayfield had almost 1,000 of his passing yards last year were on screens. That's going to come, I think, for Brian Thomas Jr. and the rest of the wide receiver room.
And the other, while we're on the Brian Thomas Jr. Train, here in the opening segment today, I'm sure you saw the number coming out earlier this week with the 93 yards in the first quarter all season last year, right? How many first quarters do you think Brian Thomas Jr. has to play this year to surpass that number? 93.
Oh, man. 2, 3. Like, part of it, I understand to the point of it seemed like nearly every opening drive last year, outside of 1 or 2, the Jaguars were pretty much getting blown off the field. You know, they were not putting together any drives. Yeah. It seems like virtually every first quarter in general last year, the Jaguars were not in the field very long. Altogether, the Jaguars, I don't have the exact number in front of me, but they had to be bottom 5 or so in plays ran last year. They just did not run a lot of plays. They struggled to stay on the field. So from that point, I can contextualize it and understand why his production might be down in the first quarter. But on the other hand, I don't think there's any context for 93 yards. I think it, especially once you get through halfway point in the season and Evan Ingram and Christian Kirk and Gabe Davis are all already on the IR, how is Brian Thomas Jr. not getting like the first 4 or 5 passes of the game to begin with? The only thing I can think of is that the quarterback play the second half of the season with Mac Jones, you know, it obviously was pretty substandard, but that doesn't excuse 93 yards, I don't think. I can't, other than all the reasons they weren't on the field, I still don't think that's a good excuse. I can't put together in my head how that happens.
Yeah, it's explanatory of where the Jaguars were last year, right? Like, him only having 93 yards in the first quarter, it's like, well, yeah, it took him 3 quarters of the season to realize he was on the team. Yeah. You know, like, it felt like it took a long time for them to think they could take their training wheels off of Brian Thomas Jr. While every time we saw him play, we were like, go to this guy. He needs 6 touches today.
Do we think they would have even done that if they didn't have the injuries to those 3 veteran guys?
No.
Like, if Kirk, Ingram, and Davis stayed healthy all season, do you think the Jaguars would have really trusted Brian Thomas Jr.?
No. I don't think the coaching staff last year would have come to terms with that if they had the veterans to still lean on.
Yeah, I don't even think it's a Brian Thomas Jr. thing. I think they showed it the year before with Tank Bigsby and Brendan Strange. Didn't see the field as rookies. Trent Baalke at the end of 2023 has his press conference where he more or less says, you know, the coaching staff is failing our rookies, not onboarding them quick enough, etc. I agree with you. It was almost out of complete circumstance and luck that the Jaguars last year discovered, hey, we have one of the NFL's best receivers on our roster.
Well, they eventually discovered it, and now the whole world knows it, and it's enough that, you know, anonymous people across the league ranked him as the number 13 receiver in the league. Heading into this year, and it felt like, well, if you have Malik Neighbors at 7, then Brian could be 6, right? Like, that feels like where we're all at 100%. In our heads with Brian Thomas Jr., and I think he would have been if they had featured him the way they could have earlier on in the season and earlier in games. I think BTJ could have had one of those years where we're like, he did what?
Yeah.
1,500 yards as a rookie. What?
100%.
Like, he felt like he was having that kind of year, and we'll see what he's going to do to, you know, back that up. Look, he is still just going into year 2. We know sophomore slumps happen in the National Football League, so it's not impossible, but I would be stunned if it happened to him. You know, I just don't expect that to be the result we're going to get from Brian Thomas.
No, 100%, because even in the points of last year, the stretches before he was really producing every week, it wasn't because he was just struggling or getting shut out. It's just the ball wasn't really going his way that often in the first half of the season. When it did, he would create explosive plays. Seeing Neighbors on that list, it didn't surprise me, and I'll explain why, but it definitely, to me, isn't justified. I think any metric you look at it last year, Brian Thomas Jr. was the best rookie receiver in football. And I know, you know, the New York side of things likes to bring up the quarterbacks that he played with. Well, Brian Thomas Jr. only played with Trevor Lawrence for half the season. The other half of the season, he played with Mac Jones. Daniel Jones just got a 1-year, $14 million contract. That's how the NFL sees him. Mm-hmm. Mac Jones got a 2-year, $8 million something contract to be a backup quarterback. Yeah. It's very clear that Malik Neighbors, for at least a big chunk of his season, had better quarterback play than Brian Thomas Jr. And despite that, Brian Thomas Jr., and despite having a lower volume, was able to produce more. I think the big thing that Brian Thomas Jr., in comparison to Malik Neighbors, is going to get knocked for when you look at these lists from anonymous sources in the NFL, etc. How many guys in the NFL had Malik Neighbors 1 and Brian Thomas Jr. 2 coming out of, you know, LSU in terms of where they rank those two guys? Probably the vast majority of them. And I think most of them are still holding on to that. They saw Brian Thomas Jr. as the second best LSU receiver on that team, that despite him having his fantastic production as a rookie and despite him outproducing Malik Neighbors, they still see him as the number 2 guy kind of coming out of LSU. They're holding on to their college evaluations. And I think until Brian Thomas Jr. puts up several really consecutive seasons of dominant production, which I expect him to, that he's always going to kind of be dinged for being drafted after Malik Neighbors.
Yeah, but he's got the Jacksonville thing, which we know these guys have always had to wear that collar.
100%.
Right, like all of them. It's why we're still having conversations about whether Fred will ever get in the Hall. It's not because he's not worthy of it.
Why it took Tony so long to get in.
Right, like it's that Jacksonville collar. And we can always go back to 99. If they had won that Super Bowl, a lot of the conversations about those guys and the franchise change. But they didn't, right? And so it is what it is. They are the team that also has one 800-catch guy in franchise history, right? Like they do carry some of those collars, and they're deserved in some areas. But they take that and extrapolate it into everything with the Jaguars, which is unnecessary, and Brian Thomas Jr. has to deal with that now. But his personality strikes me as a guy who goes, what?
I can imagine that he could not care less.
Right. Like, we see him play. He plays mean.
Yeah.
And that's what you need him to be. Mean on the field. Off the field, I don't care what your personality is.
He definitely seems like that was my biggest impression of him last year. Like, his demeanor off the field he's a very serious guy. Like, he's very serious about what he does, his craft. You can tell it's very important to him, but just kind of a laid-back guy. But you can see that switch really flip on the field. And even the new coaching staff, who hasn't coached him in a game, has seen it, on the practice field, etc. Now, I'm with you. Until the Jaguars start consistently winning on the field, they're always going to kind of be hit by the Jaguars tax. When even great players like Thomas, like Josh Hines-Allen, etc., are going to be underrated a little bit, to no fault of their own. And I think, good examples of that. When we've seen the Jaguars win, 2017, the amount of Pro Bowlers they had, Calais Campbell on the All-Pro list, that's because they were one of the best units in football. They went 10-6. They were one of the, top teams in AFC. When the Jaguars are winning, they get that kind of respect. It's just they haven't been able to consistently make that happen.
Hadn't happened a bunch since those first 5 years. They'll spark up every now and then, has been the Jaguars' MO. The Chad and Sandy real estate question of the day today, asking you to send us your Jacksonville Jaguars questions for John Shipley, kind enough to join us in studio for the show here this morning. We'll get into some of those as we go throughout the show, as well as some of my big questions heading into training camp here next week for Mr. Shipley as we get rolling here on a Thursday edition of Jaguars Today. We'll have British Open updates throughout the show this morning as they are out on the golf course over there in England somewhere playing golf today for the British Open. So we'll keep you updated on that as we go throughout the program this morning. You're listening to Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Hi, everybody. Mike Dempsey here for my friends at Dandy Foods, locally owned and operated. I've been talking about Dandy for about 10 years now, and almost every time I tell you about Dandy's delicious products or the fact that Dandy's a family business serving in Jacksonville for almost 70 years. One thing I probably don't say enough is this: Dandy is never frozen. Folks, they're made fresh and delivered fresh, and that's the difference. You'll see other brands out there, but they're more than likely just thawed out and cold fresh. You can tell in the bread, especially with Dandy. It's not all dry and crumbly when you open it, soft. Nobody wants a dried out sandwich. The Thompsons understand that. And for me, when I see Dandy's logo with the little guy with the cane on the label, it tells me I'm going to get a trusted brand and a quality sandwich made with fresh bread and fresh meats and cheeses. So the next time you're hungry and out and about in Duval, do what I do. Stop in at a local Circle K store and make yours a Dandy. And do it today.
Jaguars Today for the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios. 1010XL takes you inside the program director's office with Dan and Jeff.
I think you're not suited for this job.
Mornings.
In addition to being incompetent, you threaten my reputation, and not just today.
On 1010XL.
Tired of high energy bills? Well, replace those inefficient windows and patio doors now. Don't miss Renewal by Anderson's summer sale. Buy 4 windows or doors and get the 5th one free. No money down, no payments, and no interest for 18 months, but this offer expires July 31st. Renewal by Anderson, proud partner of the Florida Gators. Visit bestwindowsflorida.com to schedule your free consultation.
License number CGC 1527613.
Right now, you may be running a little late, or feeling stressed, or overwhelmed, and you may be going a bit over the speed limit. So to help you relax, exhale. Ease up on the gas. You'll get there when you get there. take a moment to just chill. This little break is brought to you by Target Zero and the Florida Department of Transportation.
Whether your AC needs a quick fix, a full replacement, or just a little TLC, Duck Air Conditioning has got you covered with fast and honest service. Call 904-862-6769 to get your cool back, or online at duckduckac.com.
Jaguars Today, Thursday.
Brought to you by Cannons of Jacksonville.
Yo, this is Tony from Tony D's. Are you looking for a great slice of pizza? Well, we have about 12 varieties. Most places won't have slices of pizza after lunch. At Tony D's, you can get a slice all day. It's always fresh at Tony D's Pizza. Bay Meadows and 295.
Start your Saturday with a whiff of the great outdoors.
Captain Kevin Favor here with Captain Kirk and Jeff Lagerman, and we bring you the fresh air of the great outdoors.
On the Nimnit Outdoors Show, presented by Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic and Air Conditioning on 1010XL.
Are you ready to play this summer? At the First Coast YMCA, we're committed to being your home for health and wellness and a place for friendly competition with team sports for adults and for kids. Basketball, volleyball, pickleball, flag football, soccer. The Y has something for everyone at any age. Discover all the benefits of YMCA membership and find your fun this summer at the Y. Registration for team sports and summer camps is open now. Visit fcymca.org.
1010XL is excited to support an evening of all-star fun as comedian David Spade joins MC and Gator basketball great Patrick Young to induct Olympic swimmers Nancy Hogshead and Ryan Murphy, golf legend Jim Furyk, and the iconic Lizard King into the Sawyer Sports Foundation's Jacksonville Sports Hall of Fame, presented by the Nimnick family of dealerships. Saturday, July 26th at the Community First Igloo. For single ticket and table sponsorship, go to JacksonvilleIceman.com.
Life is just so busy this time of year. Between work, the kids' games, family vacations, I need a yard hero to free up my weekends.
You mean somebody who does mowing and trimming?
Yeah.
How about mosquito control?
Yeah.
What about irrigation and pet waste removal?
You do that too? You're my lawn hero.
Find your lawn hero at heroeslawncare.com. Heroes Lawn Care, because every lawn needs a hero.
Hurricane season on the First Coast can leave you in the dark, so why not get a head start on storm season with a home generator system from American Electrical? They've sold and installed more generators in Jacksonville than any other company around, with scores of whole home generator installations throughout North Florida. That's right, American Electrical has been installing and repairing thousands of generators for over a decade in Duval. Keep your loved ones and property protected. Log on to American-Electrical.com and see how they can help you.
Yo, E.T. here, and I need you to beat the heat this summer with cool escapes and non-stop fun in Clay County. Tackle indoor adventures head on. Throw axes at Live by Axe or smash your stress away at Just Smash That. Then kick back with drinks, good food, and fandom vibes at Nakama Anime Bar or Leaderboard Arcade and Bar. Whether you're blowing off steam or just looking to chill, Clay County got your perfect indoor getaway. Find your cool at exploreclay.com. That's exploreclay.com.
I used to dread going to the dentist. Every visit felt like a sales pitch with constant upselling, surprise fees on my bill, and I could never get in when I needed to. But Harbor Dental Care? Totally different. They saw me the next day, gave me honest pricing up front, and even set me up with a payment plan I could actually afford. No pressure, no surprise charges, just kind people who get it. If you want to experience dentistry the way it should be, book your appointment today at harbordental.care. That's HARBOUR dental.care.
Denny Thompson here. You gotta check out Tyson's Showroom Home Theater with surround sound and comfy theater chairs. You can transform your living room into a cinematic experience. I could stay there to watch all my games. It's that comfortable. Call Tyson today and bring the theater experience home. Tyson Sound and Security, your security, home theater, and home automation experts. New showroom at 3555 U.S. Highway 17 in Fleming Island.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
John Shipley joining us for the show today. As we are at the end of the offseason now, for you, Shep, what do you rank as your favorite 2 or 3 stories from the Jaguars offseason this year?
I mean, you got to talk about the entire Liam Cohen experience, you know, to start with. That was, I'd say, the craziest 48, 72 hours of since I started covering the team in 2019, which includes the Jalen Ramsey fiascos, him with the trade request, him with teammates coming to his trade request press conference, him with the back injuries, all of that, all the Urban Meyer debacle stuff. Urban Meyer getting fired at 2 a.m. after Josh Lambo alleged that he kicked him, all that stuff. The Liam Cohen dropping out of the running, Trent Baalke stepping away, Liam Cohen coming back in really, secrecy was one of the craziest 2 or 3 days. And, talking to people throughout that day before it was announced, really throughout the NFL insider circles that Liam Cohen was back in Jacksonville and seeing how things were moving in real time, it was really striking about just how quickly things can change in the NFL, especially when it comes to coaching search. So I think this coaching search, especially compared to all the other ones I've covered, I mean, the one for Urban was really not as serious of a coaching search because you knew they were all in on Urban. Yep. The next one for Doug Peterson, not exactly the strongest candidate pool, not really any super exciting guys. There were no Liam Cohens or Ben Johnsons, in that cycle. This was definitely the most interesting one. I think beyond that, obviously the James Gladstone hire, I think the entire process that they went through for a general manager was a very unique one. You don't see a lot of teams hire their head coach and then start the general manager search. A lot of times it'll either happen at the same time or general manager will come first. So it was a very unique setup. They landed on a very unique candidate in James Gladstone. I don't think, before they started that search, how many people in the, not the NFL world, but how many people, who talk about the NFL every day, who analyze it, et cetera, knew who James Gladstone were outside of those with connections to the Los Angeles Rams.
Right.
Not many. So they landed on a unique candidate who was very different than the last general manager. I'm not sure that you can find 2 more different people, more different, resumes, mindsets, etc. And then lastly, and these are all cop-out answers. I'm aware of that, but I think they're the 3 most interesting ones. Lastly, the Travis Hunter trade.
Yeah.
That was another one like the Liam Cohen one where just watching how that came together in real time to where, you're hearing whispers leading up to the days and you're just like, oh, well, of course they want Travis Hunter. Who doesn't want Travis Hunter? And then to see it actually get executed during the draft, landing a guy like Hunter who I think is automatically one of the, most high-profile players who's ever been under contract with him before he even plays a game. This is a guy who he's a certified international athletic star coming out of college because of the things that he did in college and the branding he has and, just a high-profile player and personality that he is. So I think, adding Cohen, adding Gladstone, adding Hunter made this the most interesting offseason I've covered for the Jaguars in 6 years. I can certainly say that much.
And we talked about it on Tuesday here on the show. We made the offensive line our top 5.
Yeah.
On Tuesday when we were going through that and who do we think the 5 best are, all of that. And we can get into that. But how far into training camp and all that follows that do you think we have to get to have some real idea of how well the team actually addressed the offensive line?
I think, like last year, I started to get a sense around the time that they practiced against Tampa Bay, which I'd say it was probably a little over halfway through training camp. It was after the Kansas City week, etc. Once I started seeing, in those padded joint practices with Tampa Bay, I remember saying at the time, there were a lot of big plays happening from the Jaguars against Tampa Bay, but I remember reporting at the time, hey, most of these plays would have been sacks,
right.
Because, guys were getting open deep, but you can't sack a quarterback, obviously, in joint practices. But the offensive line was just not having much success. They weren't able to run the ball. So I'd say probably around the time when they start practicing with the Dolphins, because then you can start seeing them in a setting against another team as opposed to just, their own teammates, etc. So probably about halfway through training camp or so, I think you can start getting an idea for at least what the baseline for this offensive line is. And I know they're returning a lot of faces, et cetera, to the point where outside of 2 or 3 guys, it might feel like they're bringing back the same offensive line. I think the fact that it's just in a different scheme under different coaching entirely from the offensive line coach to the assistant offensive line coaches, to Liam Cohen and his plan for the entire offense. I think it is a new look offensive line, regardless of how many guys are kind of coming back. And I do think it's going to take a few weeks for them to really establish how good they are and how much better they have to be.
I asked Jamal this question yesterday too. And talking about the offensive line, I do think this is the biggest question I have in my mind.
Yeah.
Going into training camp is not only the offensive line, but specifically Anton.
Yeah.
And exactly what that's going to look like. So what do you think we can be looking for early on in camp to see that the message that Liam Cohen certainly seemed to be trying to send to Anton Harrison a few weeks ago, what can we see early on in camp to be sure that the message has been received the way that it needs to be received?
Yeah, there's no need for deciphering on that one, was there, from Liam? That was as direct, I think, of communication as you can give through the media as a coach, to a player saying, hey, this is what the message is. This isn't even just between us. We're letting people know this is where you have to improve. I think obviously it's going to take Anton, showing he can make steps forward in terms of his overall consistency. That seems to be really what they want from him. Sean Sarrett, the offensive line coach, when we spoke to him at the end of OTAs, he said similar. He said Anton might be the most athletically gifted tackle he's ever been around. But you see such impressive highs in his plays that when you see the lows in it, you're kind of like, where's that even, coming from? So I think just evening those out, being available for them, being one of the guys who is consistently giving that 110%. Like to me, I definitely think Anton has to win his spot, and it's a battle with Chuma Edoga. But I think the Jaguars, I'm not sure if it's what they want, but they should want Anton to win it. They should want this guy who has such a high ceiling to win the job, to take the messaging, etc. Because if Anton doesn't, if it's clear that Anton just isn't the answer, then you have a giant roster hole that's opened up for the future. Like Chuma Edoga can kind of band-aid that, obviously, for this year, but that makes offensive tackle one of the biggest, if not the biggest, needs after 2025. And they might already see it that way, but to me, Anton is still such a high ceiling guy that if they can figure it out, if they can tap into his potential and get more consistent play, that could be a huge question mark on the roster that can be answered. So I think that they should be rooting for him to figure it out and rooting for him to win that job. Whether he will, we'll obviously have to see that through the course of training camp. It's my prediction he will, just because I think they can get more mileage out of position by having Anton at least to start the year and see what happens. And then if you have to pull him back for Chuma, then you do. If you start with Chuma, I'm not sure there's ever really any point in going to Anton, because you're already telling him more or less that you don't think he's the answer. So long story short, I think Anton, if he meets his potential, that could make the offensive line significantly better. Because then again, on the other side, Walker Little, if he meets his potential now that he's going to be able to finally start for a full 17-game season, if you answer your 2 tackle questions in one season, that's big questions answered moving forward that you can now divert your other resources to.
No doubt. We'll see if that's the way this is going to work out. I don't think coach says what he says unless they want that to be the outcome.
100%.
Right? Like, that's why you do it with that player at that position, given what they need out of Anton. That's why you say it that way if you're Coach Cohen. We'll see how he responds. We won't know the answer to that really till they get in pads here in a couple weeks, but that'll be the first time we have any sense really of how well the message has been received. But we'll be, obviously, all eyes will be on Anton when they can be out there at training camp for the Jags. That's one of the big stories, obviously, along the offensive line going into camp. We'll continue to kick around some of the storylines heading into camp for the Jacksonville Jaguars, as we will get you out for an update from out at the British Open. A 3-way tie for the lead right now at 4 under par as the first round is ongoing. You're listening to Jaguars Today here on 1010 XL.
Hey everybody, Mike Dempsey here for Duval Ford over on Cassett Avenue. Look, whether you're a first-time car buyer or maybe you're a business owner with a fleet of vehicles, no dealership is going to take better care of you whether you're purchasing or maintaining your vehicles than Duval Ford. They've got a legacy that goes all the way back to when they were wholesaling cars from Henry Ford himself. It's a company you can trust with roots deep in Jacksonville. For over a century, big #1 Duval Ford on Cassett Avenue. Check them out online at DuvalFord.com.
Jaguars Today from the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL. This Open Championship update on 1010XL is teed up by TopDressing.com and 904 Gutters with a Z.
Westwood One Sports presents this special report on the 153rd British Open. Rory McIlroy is away at Royal Portrush, not far from where he grew up outside Belfast. McIlroy's tee shot found the rough, but he didn't hit it out of bounds, an improvement from 2019 at Portrush when he quadruple bogeyed the first hole on his way to a missed cut. Three leaders in the clubhouse at 4 under, former U.S. Open champ Matt Fitzpatrick, Hao Tong Lee, and Jakob Skov Olesen, who played his college golf at Ranger College, TCU, and Arkansas. A few players turning back the clock today. Sergio Garcia won back at 3 under with 3 straight birdies at 5, 6, and 7. 55-year-old Phil Mickelson 3 back after a 1 under 70, his first under par round at a major since the 2023 Masters when he was the runner-up. And Lee Westwood at 52 years old is 2 under and just 2 shots back. Westy, 19 top 10 finishes without a major victory. I'm Ted Emmerich, Westwood.
Chronic migraine, 15 or more headache days a month, each lasting 4 hours or more, can make me feel like a spectator in my own life.
Botox, onabotulinum toxin A, prevents headaches in adults with chronic migraine. It's not for those with 14 or fewer headache days a month. It's the #1 prescribed branded chronic migraine preventive treatment.
Prescription Botox is injected by your doctor. Effects of Botox may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away, as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness can be signs of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Side effects may include allergic reactions, neck and injection site pain, fatigue, and headache. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Don't receive Botox if there's a skin infection. Tell your doctor your medical history, muscle or nerve conditions, including ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects.
Why wait? Ask your doctor, visit BotoxChronicMigraine.com, or call 1-800-44-BOTOX to learn more.
This is Jennifer Marion at Randy Marion Cadillac. Are you ready to drive away today in luxury? Then you should check out Randy Marion Cadillac, Southside Boulevard in Jacksonville.
Discover our luxurious lineup with over 100 Cadillacs to choose from, including the stunning Cadillac IQ, Lyric, Optique, and Vistique.
And here's something important. The $7,500 tax credit on EV vehicles will be gone in just 90 days.
That's right. Don't miss your chance to save while driving in style.
Visit us at Randy Marion Cadillac.
Plus tax type Title 999 admin fee and resist all on approved credit.
Interested in a unique date night? Gibby here. I took my wife Nikki to Wick a Candle Bar. She made her own custom candle right there in the store. Shop local at Wick a Candle Bar. Locations in San Marco and Jacks Beach.
You're locked in to Jaguars Today Thursday with
Cannons of Jacksonville.
Summertime is busy with graduation parties, summer barbecues, festivities, family gatherings. The month of July, National Carpet Cleaning Month. So Zero Res is offering $45 per room of carpet clean and 20% off air duct cleaning services as well. Schedule your appointment at ZeroResJacksonville.com or call them 287-5727 and ask for the 1010XL special. Zero Res, spelled backwards or forwards, it spells the same. Zero Res.
Zero Res.
Your home is more than walls and a roof. It's where you breathe, drink, and power through life. At Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing, we're here to keep it all running smoothly. From clean, cool air to clean water, reliable power to expert plumbing, we do it all. For over 35 years, families have trusted Donovan to make their homes healthier, safer, and more comfortable. Call Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing today. 904-270-COOL, where health meets home.
Fall football starts in July with Donovan Air Electric Plumbing SEC Media Days. Catch it live or catch the best of. Locked down by Instant Keys. Catch the best interviews on demand at 1010XL.com.
Rita, Jorge, let's bring the nail gun over here.
Jose stands tall atop his sustainable flooring company.
Totally. It's renewable and moisture resistant, but we have several green options too. Or we got some beautiful reclaimed oak.
But floored by his success, he needs to hire more installers.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Brackish Vodka, the spirit of the sportsman and proud partner of the Jaguars, wants to make your flight in and out of Jax a fun one. Stop by Vino Volo in the airport and enjoy 2 signature brackish cocktails. Vino Volo has amazing food and cocktails before your flight. Brackish Vodka is the first clean craft vodka and made right here in Jacksonville, Florida. Brackish Vodka for whatever your sport is. If your sport is flying, your vodka is Brackish, proud partner of the Jaguars.
Mike Dempsey, and now's the time to get your roof hurricane ready with Apex Roofing and Contracting of Jax Beach. Look, our rainy season is no joke, and if your roof's got damage, leaks, or it's just plain worn out, don't wait. Apex is local, dependable, and will show up on time using only premium materials with ironclad warranties. No shortcuts, no stress, just quality work you can trust. Skip the storm season scramble. Reach for the peak with Apex Roofing and Contracting in Jax Beach or visit apexroofingfl.com.
Frank Franzi here for Coil Fencing. Jacksonville's full of memorable sports moments. Remember Tiger Woods' 60-foot putt on the iconic 17th? Gary Coate called it better than most. Better than most. Well, Coil Fencing is better than most. They're better than all. Coil has been that for nearly 100 years. So if you're in the market for a new fence, I recommend calling Coyle & Sons today. That's at 904-356-4821 or visit coiljax.com. That's COYLE Jax.com.
Need the right tools for the job without the full-time price tag? Tucker Equipment Rentals in Neptune Beach is what you need when you need it. From heavy machinery for commercial projects to weekend projects at the house, we've got you covered. We've been serving Jax for 50 years. Visit Tucker Equipment Rentals in Neptune Beach, just behind Aqua East Surf Shop, or call today. We also have event rentals too. Tucker Equipment Rentals. Tools you need without the price tag of purchasing.
The playoff-bound Jacksonville Jumbo Shrimp are in full swing at the newly renovated VyStar Ballpark. Your home for affordable family fun. Tickets start at just $5. Fireworks after every Friday home game, and kids round the bases after Sunday games. Log on to jackshrimp.com for tickets and details. Jumbo Shrimp Baseball, affordable family fun.
If you're 35 to 75, you could get life insurance today. No medical exam needed. I'm Cody with Harborstone Financial. One call could protect your family for life. Call me today, 904-885-9566.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now more Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Our Chad and Sandy real estate question of the day today, asking you to send us your Jacksonville Jaguars questions for John Shipley in studio with us here today, as we are 6 days away from training camp being open to the public. What are the rookies are in what, Sunday or Monday?
Yeah, I believe it is. I want to say it's Sunday.
Yeah.
They're in a couple days in advance, and that's always when the rookies report, for their conditioning tests, all that. That's really when it starts to feel real. And at least luckily for the Jaguars, they're one of the few teams this year who don't have to worry, is our second round pick going to report on rookie report day?
Yeah, but, I looking at this yesterday, I saw Barron got the deal done in Denver. So we got one first round pick that doesn't have their deal done yet. We'll see how long that's going to take with Stewart, right? That situation is wild.
To me, it was fascinating that Travis Hunter wasn't the second to last guy, counting Stewart, to sign. They signed him to play two positions before the Broncos signed Barron to play one. These guys are always going to get signed, but that to me, I was shocked that Barron wasn't signed before Hunter.
I'm honestly surprised in today's NFL that any of this really goes on, but it's going on, right? I saw a second round pick got signed this morning, so there's only 29 left in the second round that haven't signed their deals. But I did see, and again, this you can chalk this under a few weeks ago when Tootin signed his deal, and I was like, he hadn't signed, right? That was my reaction to it when it happened. The only other player in the entire National Football League past the second round that hasn't signed their rookie deal yet is Jack Kaiser. He's the only one left. And it's like, what? Like, it's not even a story. Like, I'm not worried about it. It's just like one of those where it's like, what? Why?
Yeah.
Like, everyone else in the world has signed it from the third round down. I was looking at the site I was looking at had the dates when everyone had signed their deals, and it was May.
Yeah.
Like, the guys in front and behind Kaiser, it's like, what's the holdup? Like, you're slotted into that slot. Like, sign it. I guess he just hadn't got around to it yet. Like, is it waiting on a desk somewhere? I do not know. But he's the only other draft pick past the second round that hadn't signed a deal yet.
Yeah, no, because I think, in most cases, like you said, these guys are kind of slotted in the slots. You know how much a contract's going to be for. The only difference with the second rounders this year is that the Texans paid their guy a fully guaranteed contract. The Browns followed suit and gave Schlesinger a fully guaranteed contract. Yep. And then I think Alfred Collins got like an 88% guaranteed contract, something like that. So he didn't get fully guaranteed, but he got more than most second rounders get. Yeah, no, I couldn't tell you. And when people would ask me about Travis's contract during the mini offseason program, they would ask me, one, when's it happening? And two, what's the holdup? My answer is just, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's something that has to be hatched out between the team's front office and the guys who drop the contracts and their agencies and representations. That's all it is. A lot of times it's very minute stuff, very specific language that they just all want to be ironed out. And to me personally, I understand why players want all this stuff settled before they go out there and practice. I mean, can you imagine if the Jaguars hadn't done right by Dante Fowler? Like they technically, it would have been the wrong move to do because one, it would just be wrong morally, and two, it would have been a wrong message moving forward to all other rookies. But the Dante Fowler situation is why rookies want to be secure before they hit the field. He got very lucky that the Jaguars did the right thing. They didn't make any complications or impasses in his rookie contract, but he got hurt before he was signed. And that's the thing guys are trying to avoid.
Yeah, no doubt. And I do think, when people would ask about the Hunter thing and when it was going to get done, my response to that whenever anyone asked me was, well, he's practicing.
Yeah.
So there's no issue here. He's practicing. I don't even know how much he's aware of what's going on with the contract. I think he's likely leaving that to the contract people and saying, I'm playing football. Leave me alone.
Most of these guys do.
Right? Like, I'm playing football. That's what I want to do. The Stewart situation is different. Right? Like, he's standing there with his representation saying, I'm not showing up until we get all these things worked out. So the Bengals are having to deal. Like, that's the one that when it was happening, I was like, that feels there's a real threat
100%
to the situation with him. It wasn't real with Barron. He was there, right? Like, he was in and out of the building there with the Broncos. He didn't do the mandatory mini camp, but he was in and out of the building with the Broncos. They were working to get that done. So I wasn't worried about whether or not that one would get done. The Stewart one,
it doesn't look like
no idea where it's going to end.
It doesn't look like there's an end in sight. And the Bengals have historically, been one of the cheapest, if not the cheapest franchise in the NFL. This isn't a new thing. Trey Hendrickson's obviously having his problem with them. Carson Palmer obviously had some really big issues with them. I mean, this is a franchise who this consistently happens to. And I will say the Jaguars, I think, have been able to pull themselves out of the conversation of teams, like the Bengals in recent years. The Jaguars haven't been a cheap team by any stretch of the measure. I mean, they spent big, really since Shad Khan got there. But they've been a team who they've been willing to set new standards when it comes to contracts. I mean, even just look at Travis Hunter. He got all of his money, guaranteed money, up front. That just doesn't happen in many other places. So I think the Jaguars have done a good job in the last decade or so, especially under Khan, to kind of become forward-thinking with these contracts, especially when it comes to rookies. Because when you're not and you're kind of stuck in yesterday's age and you're unwilling to compromise like the Bengals, you get issues like your first-round pick, allegedly, according to, I think it was CBS Sports, Bud Elliott doing some workouts at Texas A&M because he's just so disconnected from everything going in Cincinnati right now.
Yeah, I saw ESPN put up an article yesterday previewing the top storylines for NFL training camps.
Ben Solak, buddy of mine. He's awesome.
And they did 4 different categories, and they picked 5 stories in each of the categories. Yeah. And when I was reading through the article, and they had their different things, and they did have one Jaguars story in there. I was surprised when they were like the rookies to watch. I was like, okay, this is where the Jags are going to be. It's going to be Hunter and the rookies to watch. He's not, right? And so then I was thinking about it because they do have the Jaguars running backs among the camp battles to watch, which I do think is a very interesting storyline. We're all over it, right?
Sure.
Like going into training camp. But I think ESPN might have a rule about, especially with a team like Jacksonville, they don't get to be 2 of the 20 stories, right? Because I don't think there's any doubt that Hunter is one of the 5 player stories.
Absolutely.
You know, to watch going into camp from across the league. Rookie stories specifically to watch across the league. But I do think I'm not upset that they have the Jaguars running back battle, you know, in that list, in that kind of section of it, of the camp battles to watch, because it is the biggest camp battle, I think, going in for this football team. And it's certainly the most wide open of the camp battles. I think any of the 3 guys could win. You know, you could pick any of the 3 as the guy who's going to get the first carry against Carolina. I'm
100%.
not sure who that's going to be. I don't think it'll be the 4th. I don't think LaQuinn Allen will get into it. I think he's got a chance at some point to expand his opportunities.
For sure.
You know, but I don't expect him to be the first one to get a carry. But the other 3, good luck figuring
100%.
out how that's going to play out.
No, 100%. If I had to rationalize it, I'd say, you know, every single person who makes a rookies to watch list has to include Travis Hunter. And I think maybe that's why he wasn't included this time, because it's just been talked to such ad nauseum. I 100% agree that
CBS, he was the picture on the article.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the running back position has become such, you know, like you said, locally, everybody's been all over it. We've known it's been one of the big questions. I mean, the Jaguars themselves, I mean, they've really made it a question. You know, they drafted Bayshaw Tuden in the 4th round, but Mike Silver reported when he was, you know, in there, in the war room, et cetera, that, you know, among the guys they had listed as game changers in the draft, it was Travis Hunter and then Ashton Genty. I think we can widely presume that if they had stayed at 5, they're picking Ashton Genty. Mike Silver also reported that Liam Cohen wanted R.J. Harvey at number 70, fellow UCF Knight, and obviously he didn't get there. But the fact that Liam Cohen wanted to use the number 5 and number 70 picks on running backs, ends up using the first one of day 3. The Jaguars clearly want the running back position to be, you know, I'm not going to say they want it to be a big story, but they want it to be a focus of training camp in terms of they want to figure out what the answer there is. And I'm with you. I think it could be any of the 3. I think a lot of it also has to do with what the offensive line and what the offense is doing best. If the offensive line through the first couple weeks in pads and Liam Cohen is just like, we do gap stuff like pulling our guards, running downhill better than we block inside and outside zone, then I think Tank Bigsby is going to be the number 1 guy. He's clearly the best guy they have at just getting downhill, getting to the second level, breaking tackles. If there are more zone-based offense and offensive line, I think that gives Travis Etienne and Bayshaw Tuden a good shot. So I don't even think they know the answer yet. I think it's just something that we're just going to have to wait and see kind of play out over the next couple of weeks.
You know, in a typical situation like this, I think that, you know, new coaching staff coming in, they state their preference to some degree with what they did, right? Like they were willing to spend a couple of draft picks on the running back position. We know the stories, as you just went through, with 1st and 2nd round, 3rd round guys they were considering, right, at these different spots. So they've stated their preference to at least some degree. But typically when you have a running back of the caliber of Etienne, you're hoping they're not coming off his worst year, which he is, right, as a pro. But typically what you have with a running back going into their last year is, well, we can run them till the wheels fall off.
Yeah.
Do you get any sense that is a real possibility for Etienne in Jacksonville this year, that he would ever be featured as the run them till the wheels fall off guy, given the other options they brought in?
I'm not sure if they want the offense to be run in the sense of we have one true workhorse who he's going to, I don't know if they want to be like a Derrick Henry style running game where just it's very clearly one guy and everybody else is kind of picking up the pieces around him. You know, in Tampa, obviously Bucky Irving had a big role, but Rachaad White also had a big role. You've seen Los Angeles, the Rams in recent years, like Kyron Williams has, handled the load, but they drafted Blake Corum. They drafted Jarquez Hunter this year. They very clearly have tried to add guys around him. I think if they had to pick a preference, whether they want to go with a workhorse or kind of a running back by committee approach, I think they'd go with the committee approach. Now, on the other hand of that, on the other side, if you're asking, do they get more value out of keeping Etienne this year and just, like squeezing the last amount of production they want out of his rookie contract? Or do you get more value potentially putting him on the trade block? I think the answer is the former. I don't think that there'd be a big market for ETN, a running back who's, I think his contract would be around $6 million in guarantees last year of his rookie deal, etc. I'm not sure how many teams are going to want to trade for him. So I think the value is in letting ETN, see the field this year and trying to get, just a little bit more production out of him. Because we've seen, it's not like ETN is coming off years and years of poor play. From 2022 and 2023, even with, under 4 yards per carry in 2023, he was one of the most productive backs in the NFL just by overall volume, production measures. I think last year with the injuries, with the issues with the offensive line, with the issues with the scheme and coaching staff, etc., it was just kind of the perfect storm for things to kind of go for the wayside for him. Because it wasn't like, he got hurt and then Tank Bigsby became one of the most productive running backs in the NFL and ran away with the job. Tank Bigsby produced more than him, obviously, but the entire running game, I'd say after the New England Patriots game, they didn't have a 20-yard run from week 6 until the last game of the season. And then it was like a random 22-yard run by Dearness Johnson on like a third down. That broke that streak. It was the most random of all random things. The entire running game was broken last year. It was not just Travis Etienne. It was the entire running game ecosystem.
No doubt. And so, look, that's one of the big stories heading into camp next week is obviously going to be how the backfield falls into place. Right. And I tend to agree with you. I think it is going to be a hot hand thing week to week. Whoever they feel like we need to feature him because this is what it looks like with him this week. I think that's the most likely outcome. So good luck predicting what that's going to be, before we actually get into some game situations. But we'll continue to predict and make guesses based on what we see beginning at training camp. We're going to take a look around the rest of the National Football League when we return, get into some of your questions for Shipley today on the show, as well as we get into the second hour of Jaguars Today next here on 1010XL.
Hey everybody, Mike Dempsey here for Pella Windows and Doors. Look, you might not be like me and have a golf ball crash through your living room window, and that kind of pushes you to replace the windows in your home. I went with Pella, simply the best in the business. Don't take my word for it. Take Consumer Reports' word for it. Number 1 in all the major window categories and 0% financing for 60 months right now. That's right, 5 years of interest-free payments on the best windows and doors in the business. Schedule a free consultation at PellaJacks.com or visit their showroom on Phillips Highway for quality you can trust and savings you can't miss. That's Pella Windows and Doors.
Jaguars Today Thursday, brought to you by Cannons of Jacksonville. This Open Championship update on 1010XL is teed up by TopDressing.com and 904 Gutters with a Z.
Westwood One Sports presents this special report on the 153rd British Open. Afternoon wave catching a break at Royal Portrush. Wind dying down a little, no rain for now. The sun even taking a peek through the clouds. The 3 leaders were part of the early wave here in the first round. Matt Fitzpatrick, Haotong Lee, and Jakob Skov Olesen all fire 4 under 67. It's Fitzpatrick's lowest opening round at a major. He won the U.S. Open 3 years ago. No calamity at all for Scotty Scheffler at Calamity Corner, the tough par 3 16th. He lashed his tee shot to 3 feet for birdie. Then from the rough, off the fairway at 17, he had a knockdown shot from 110 yards that rolled just past the hole, brushed in another birdie there, so Scheffler is 3 under, 1 back as he plays the last. Rory McIlroy in his home country of Northern Ireland missed a 4-footer down the hill at the first and made bogey. Rory is 5 back. I'm Ted Emmerich, Westwood One Sports.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
At Straight Talk, we are all about no-brainers. Calling Grandma for her recipe, no-brainer. Streaming one more episode at 2 a.m., big no-brainer. Getting real unlimited data where you buy bananas, the ultimate no-brainer. Switch now and get a free Samsung Galaxy A16 5G or Moto G Power 5G 2025 with select plans. Straight Talk, real unlimited data. Available at Walmart and straighttalk.com. Offer valid through 7/20/25. Taxes and fees apply. Requires in-store activation of single line gold unlimited plan or higher. For network management practices, visit straighttalk.com/terms. Copyright 2025 Verizon.
As a law enforcement officer, safe roads are one of my top priorities, ensuring everyone can get home safely each day. Some never will, due to aggressive driving, being distracted, or speeding on the roads. And too often, that results in the toughest part of my job and the longest walk in my life. I'm so sorry. I have some very sad news to share with you.
9 people will be killed on our Florida roadways today. Don't let it be you or a person you love. Buckle up every trip, every time. Let's get everyone home safely. A message from Florida Department of Transportation, Target Zero. For more information, visit targetzerofl.com.
Tired of wrestling with your shower curtain like it's a fight for the last slice of pizza? Ditch the drama and say hello to a smooth, stylish glass shower enclosure from Baker Glass. Wago Glass is clean, elegant, and makes your bathroom look huge and brighter. Give your shower a makeover and feel like you're in a spa without the price tag. I'm Mac at Baker Glass. Call me and get ready to love your new shower. Let's make your shower great again. Remember, Baker Glass. No one treats you better.
Jaguars Today for the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios.
Your AC's broke, it ain't no joke. Call Florida Home AC. Florida Home AC. Florida Home AC. Florida Home AC. FloridaHomeAC.com.
Storms don't wait, so why should you? Protect your home and your wallet with Universal Roof and Contracting. Save 15% on roof replacements and repairs now through July 31st. And financing is available with payments as low as $115. Call 855-ROOF-HELP for your free inspection. Universal Roof and Contracting. Protecting your home, building your trust. License number CCC 057165, CBC 1258484.
UniversalRoof.com. The flagship station of the Jacksonville Jaguars. WJXL AM Jacksonville Beach. WJXL FM Jacksonville Beach.
Has someone you care about been arrested or had their driver's license taken away? I'm Susan Cohen, and I work with David Robbins at the law firm of Epstein & Robbins. We are experienced fighters for those charged with DUI, domestic violence, and all criminal offenses. In your battle with the justice system, there's only one thing you need to know. Dial David 24/7 at Epstein & Robbins, 354-5645. 354-5645.
Are your kids ready to play this summer? Come check out The Y. Summer is a time for kids to explore new things and expand the limits of their imagination. At The Y summer camps, every day is a new adventure. Kids can learn about STEM, arts and humanities, athletic sports, outdoor games, and more. Registration is now open, but space is limited, and spots are filling up quickly. Learn more and find your adventure at fcymca.org. Search Summer Day Camp.
Dan Hicken and Jeff Prosser start the week by giving the ball to the best back in Duval.
And off, Fred Taylor.
Monday morning running back with Fred Taylor is fueled by Epstein & Robbins DUI Defense Firm and Monahan Jewelers on 1010XL.
When you need a mechanic you can trust, visit AA Automotive on Richard Street. For oil changes to complex repairs, AA Automotive is a full-service repair shop for personal and commercial fleet vehicles. Trust AA to keep your ride running A-OK.
When it comes to towing products, your safety is the priority at Cannons of Jacksonville. Cannons has decades of experience to ensure your towing setup is installed with precision and reliability. Visit cannonsofjacks.com, your trusted partner for a smoother tow.
Instant Keys. You don't have to go to the dealer. Instant Keys comes to you. For lost or broken keys or nearly any make and model of vehicle, call 722-1111 for Instant Keys Locksmith Service.
This is your local sports update. RJ Saunders for 1010XL. This update brought to you by Duck Duck Rooter Plumbing, Septic, and Air Conditioning. Season tickets for the Jacksonville University men's basketball season is officially on sale. After last year's fourth place regular season finish, a win in the ASUN tournament, and a trip to the College Basketball Invitational, Jacksonville basketball has returned and is excited to welcome fans back to the historic Swisher Gym. Season ticket packages include reserved seats to all regular season home games and a chance to see Jacksonville University compete at home up to twice a week. The full Jacksonville University men's basketball schedule and conference slate will be released soon. Former Orlando Magic forward Caleb Houston has agreed to a one-year deal with the Atlanta Hawks. The 22-year-old shot 50.7% from three-point range after the All-Star break and has improved his three-point shooting in each of his first 3 NBA seasons. 89 degrees at 11:04. Time and 10 brought to you by Bueller Air Conditioning. Stay cooler with Bueller.
10XL is presented by Farrah & Farrah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Everything you need to know about the Jags. Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
I'm not Tony Pauline, but I am Tony Smith, and I also am a very big fan of this song and this band. Led Zeppelin coming back from the break here. A little bit of When the Levee Breaks.
Is it a bad thing I had no idea what song this was or who it was?
Oh, man.
You with me, Shipley.
Yeah,
us young bucks don't know about this.
Yeah, nah.
Y'all need to learn.
I had... to me, classic rock is like Green Day.
Funny story about that kind of thing, right? I can remember the first time that I turned on the classic rock station here in town.
Yeah.
Right. And heard Metallica being played out. Like, that was the moment in my life I was like, I'm old. Right? Like, it was the first time that it had struck me that directly.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that they could play Metallica or something like Green Day on an oldie station, which they could. At that time, I was like, oh, no. It's happened. Had one of those moments. But, yeah, that is maybe it's among the handful of the greatest rock bands in history.
Absolutely.
Led Zeppelin. And like I said, I'm not Tony Pauline in my fandom of that particular band, but you better believe.
I'll never forget when I first started following Tony, and I'd see that literally the only people he followed on Twitter were the rock fans. I was like, yeah, he's a fan.
Yeah, he's a big Zeppelin fan, and you better believe I know that's off Zeppelin 4. You better believe I know that. And it's the last track on Zeppelin 4. By the way, before we get back to a little bit of Jaguars talk, let's take a quick look around the rest of the National League. Or the National Football League.
Gems around the NFL. Brought to you by Beach's Jewelry and Pawn in Jax Beach.
Yeah, All-Star break on the mind. So, Denver Broncos cornerback Jahdae Barron, the Broncos' first-round pick this year, signed his rookie contract yesterday, with Barron getting that deal done. Only 17th overall pick Shamar Stewart in Cincinnati is the remaining first-round pick that has not signed their rookie deal. And to add even more intrigue to the Stewart situation, there was a Sporting News report earlier this week that he has been back on campus working out, at least at Texas A&M. But even if he didn't sign a deal with the Bengals, they would retain the rights to him through next year's draft if they want to hold them. 29 now of the 32 second-round picks have also not signed their rookie deals at this point. And as I mentioned earlier in the show, Jacksonville's Jack Kaiser is the only other draft pick in the third round or beyond that is yet to sign their rookie deal, but no real concern as to whether Kaiser will. It's just a matter of when that gets done. And the only other real NFL news is Washington is signing Von Miller to a one-year deal. We don't know the money details on that yet, but Von Miller likely on his way to the Hall of Fame. Likely, not guaranteed, but likely on his way to the Hall of Fame. Going to kick the tires for at least one more year there with the Commanders.
That's basically the Von Miller version of you listening to that oldies rock station and being like, oh, now it's it. Like, now I know Von Miller is officially kind of in that wash stage where he's starting to sign those random 1 year mid-July contracts. Now I know the party's over.
Yeah, Von, he was pretty good 2 years ago for Buffalo.
Yeah.
Last year he had all the weirdness surrounding his season, but he didn't do much.
Pound for pound, I think the best edge rusher I've seen in the NFL. And I'm 29, and my real index of football in the NFL starts in like 2004, 2005. So obviously missed on a lot of guys. But for me, my NFL fandom last 20 years or so, Von Miller, I think, is the best edge rusher, best defensive lineman, J.J. Watt and Aaron Donald. And I'd probably put Von Miller right behind those guys.
Von Miller, an 8-time Pro Bowler, 3-time first-team All-Pro, a member of the Pro Football Hall of Fame's All-Decade team of the 2010s. He's a 2-time Super Bowl champ, was the MVP in Super Bowl 50. So, like I said, very likely on his way to the Hall of Fame when all this is said and done. What is he at right now? 129.5 sacks.
Wow. Now, and I can remember the first time I got a Sports Illustrated pre-NFL draft issue with all the scouting reports and stuff in it. I can remember it being him and his class and reading about him coming out of Texas A&M, and I was like, this guy's name sounds too cool for him to not be, just an absolute stud. So fantastic career by Von Miller.
Yeah, Von Miller's one of those guys, right? He's had a weird last couple of years, basically, since he left Denver, but is an all-timer, is where he's going to wind up. I think I'm looking at it now, he's 25th on the all-time sack list. And is that the adjusted number? Or
what was it, 2011 draft class?
He was same class as Cam and Julio, AJ
and
Green,
Blaine Gabbert.
Yes,
all the
it's
other greats.
Cool. Over there at Pro Football Reference, they've gone back in the archives, and taken a look at all these players, so you have an idea of I know we've had the opportunity at the Super Bowl from time to time. We'll talk to Deacon Jones, right, and he's the guy that when he would sit down with us, he's like, I know I'm the best that ever did it, right,
100%.
About his helmet slap and that kind of thing. Well, they've gone back and they've gone through the film and trying to give these guys credit for the sacks because it wasn't an official number.
Absolutely.
Right, until Lawrence Taylor's second year in the league.
Which is wild. Why wouldn't that be an official?
I don't know why it took that long for them to get to it, but the adjusted numbers still have Bruce Smith at the top with 200. He's the only 200 sack guy in NFL history, and it's right at 200. That's pretty cool. Reggie White second at 198. Man. Deacon Jones third at 173.5.
Man, those are wild numbers. Absolutely wild. And then, just to put in the context of how far the Jaguars have to catch up, their all-time record is what, 52.5, I think?
52.5.
52.5?
Yeah.
I was a shot in the dark.
I believe that's the number. It's right around there. It's 52 or 52
It's right around there.
Yeah, it's something like that. I may be able to find it here with T-Brack. If I go far enough down the list, I'm looking at some of the active players as I'm scrolling down here. Dante Fowler is 179th with 55.5.
Yeah, I think it was PFF put out a 2005 redraft, which those things are always interesting to look at because they had the Jaguars should have taken Danielle Hunter instead of Dante Fowler, which obviously if you're using a decade of hindsight, but at the time, Danielle Hunter was a third-round pick. Nobody was even considering him in the top 5, but I think just viewing how that Dante pick has aged, I think I want to say he has the 6th most sacks, maybe 5th most sacks from that draft class. If the whole point of that pick was to find the best pass rusher in that class, definitely seems like that wasn't accomplished. But he's a good player. He's still hanging around. I will honestly say I did not foresee when they traded him out of Jacksonville for him to kind of have the post-Jaguars career that he's had. His best years have definitely come, I think, outside of Jacksonville.
Yeah, 55 with Tony Brackens is the all-time number.
55. Okay.
Josh Hines-Allen needs 2 to tie it.
What week do we think Josh Hines-Allen ties it? Or what week do we think he breaks it, I think I should say?
Well, I would hope it would be week 2.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty awesome.
That would be.
But it's, National Football League, expecting a whole lot more than 1 sack a week is...
It's tough.
It's getting up there.
Yeah.
Right, having those kind of things. I do think... Maybe there's the potential with, I don't know how good or bad the Carolina offensive line is.
I was just thinking the same thing. Can he do it in week 1?
Yeah, I'm not sure how good or bad that group is.
I mean, they've had some dominant games against Carolina. When I want to say Trayvon had a 3-sack game against, is it a 3 or 2.5 sack game when they played them in 2023? And obviously, they've changed since then. They have a much better interior offensive line. I don't know. I still think in terms of Josh Hines-Allen and Trayvon versus Ike Ekwonu, I'd give the Jaguars the edge there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is, again, we get stuck in some of these numbers and we're like, oh, yeah. Right? When you look at Jaguars history, Tony Bracken's all-time leader at 55. Josh Hines-Allen going to cross that number at some point this season with 53. Yannick Ngakoue third, 37.5. So big gap. Joel Schminge, 4th on the list with 34. He was a good player. Calais Campbell, 5th with 31.5. Just going down until we get to Trayvon, I guess, here. John Henderson, 6th with 29.
That's a solid for a defensive tackle.
That's really good.
Yeah.
Paul Spicer, 7th with 28.5. Kevin Hardy, 8th with 28.5. Trayvon Walker, 9th on the all-time list with 24. By the way, DeJuan Smoot, the rounding out the top 10 with 23.5.
Oh, wow, that's impressive for Smoot getting into that top 10. The thing that sticks with me is two of those top guys, Calais and Yannick. I mean, Calais was only in Jacksonville for, 3 seasons?
Mm-hmm.
And Yannick was only there for 4 seasons. So two guys who were really good while they were here. You wonder, what would it look like if some of these guys just played with the franchise longer? And that's kind of what I think Josh Allen's trump card is right now. He definitely in an era where guys have not been career players with the Jaguars, especially in terms of their stars. I mean, look at Jalen Ramsey, Allen Robinson, Ngakoue. I mean, these are all guys who we could consider the building blocks of their future, who just did not spend very long with the team. That's, I think, why Hines Allen is going to go down as the best defender in franchise history, because he's obviously going to have the sack record. He's obviously going to build that out to a pretty big gap for himself. I just think he's going to spend his prime days and twilight days of his career as a Jaguar, which you just can't say for many guys on that list, even for some of the more impressive players on it.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's the first player in franchise history that will have a legitimate chance to get to 100.
100%.
Right, in his career. He's got a legitimate chance to get there. Not that I expect him to get there. By the way, Calais Campbell is an interesting guy to me every time that he gets brought up with the 3 years that he played here. I think he's got a chance to wind up in the Hall of Fame. He's not a lock, for these kind of things. But if he does, he needs to have a lot of time in that speech for Jacksonville, because it doesn't happen for him. The Hall of Fame trajectory of his career started when he signed here in free agency. It's the only place he's had double-digit sack seasons, 14.5, 10.5. It's the only place where he was a first-team All-Pro, was here in Jacksonville. He was 3 of his 6 Pro Bowls were here.
Walter Payton Man of the Year.
Yeah, the Walter Payton Man of the Year, all that stuff. Calais Campbell was a name that I think football fans knew to some degree, but I think everybody kind of knew the name Calais Campbell after what he accomplished when he was here in Jacksonville.
100%.
So if he does get to that kind of level, I hope there's a lot of space in whatever speech that he has up there at Canton for the Jacksonville Jaguars. We'll continue to get to some of the questions you have for Mr. Shipley today on the program as we continue along. You're listening to a Thursday edition of Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Hey everybody, Mike Dempsey here for Apex Roofing and Contracting of Jacksonville Beach. Nothing worse than a leaky roof, right? If your roof has damage, if it leaks, if it's just plain worn out, Apex is waiting for you. They're local, dependable. They're going to show up on time using only premium materials with ironclad warranties. No shortcuts, no stress. That's Apex. Just quality work you can trust. So skip the storm season scramble. Reach for the peak. That's Apex Roofing and Contracting in Jacksonville Beach, or located online at apexroofingfl.com.
Jaguars Today. For the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios at 1010XL. Somewhere on a beach.
On a beach towel, my shades on, my drinks up, and the sun's out. I'm somewhere on a beach.
Someone is listening to 1010XL.
Call 904-500-COOL. Ideal Conditions.
Ideal Conditions Heating and Air Conditioning is your go-to for all AC repairs and replacements. Just ask your AC. For exceptional service, call 904-500-COOL or visit idealconditionsjax.com to schedule your estimate today.
Call 904-500-COOL.
Honk if you see us. Call for service.
Ideal Conditions.
Idealconditionsjax.com.
Chicken Salad Chick has scratch-made Southern-style chicken salad in every bite. It's quick and delicious, so why wait? Come taste the best chicken salad today at Town Center, Durban Park, Butler Point, and now in Ortega Park. Chicken Salad Chick.
The countdown is on. Save the date because Diamonds Direct's Designer Summer Sale kicks off this Monday, July 21st with 20% off the entire store. Engagement rings, diamond studs, fashion jewelry, and more. Want early access? Book your appointment now because the best pieces go fast. Don't miss the jewelry event of the season next week only at Diamonds Direct, and designer appearances July 25th through 27th. Top designers from New York and LA with their exclusive collections. Visit diamondsdirect.com to book your appointment and start saving.
Jaguars Today Thursday is towed by Cannons of Jacksonville for all your towing needs.
Beer, water, beer. That's a pretty good game plan when it comes to battling the summer heat. When you hit the beach, fishing hole, or golf course, make sure you hydrate. Anheuser-Busch is always up for a good time. Just remember to drink responsibly.
Sun's out, savings out. That's what this summer is all about. Hurry to Kia on Atlantic this month to maximize your fun in the sun. Make no payments for 90 days and drive new Kias starting under $20K. Plus, it's easy to shop for new Kias when you know we have financing rates starting at 0. Take advantage of the sunniest time of year and drive away with the sunshine savings from here. Online at KiaOnAtlantic.com. Kia on Atlantic, your Kia Coastal Connection. For complete details, call 904-250-0587.
Be the first to hear from the players and coaches of the SEC.
That's awesome.
The Donovan Air Electric and Plumbing SEC Media Days. Elevated by Lucas Tree Service, Pine Royale Golf Club, and 904 Gutters with a Z.
Hi, folks. Jason Parker here with Performance Painting. Ever wonder what to do with leftover paint that you don't want? Here's a few options. Paint can be placed in the regular trash if it's dry. Simply stir in kitty litter to a thick consistency. Then wait a few days with the lid off till it dries. Also, if the paint is good, there's many charities or churches that would love to have it. If you'd like more tips or have a project, we'd love to help. Go to performance-painting.com. Performance Painting. Repair, protect, preserve.
Performance painting.
Guys, want a golf course fairway quality lawn? TopDressing.com just landed in Jacksonville with the golf course secret for St. Augustine grass homeowners. A patented process that aerates and turns your turf into a fairway stunner. Serious golf course technology, but in your yard. Less water, tighter cuts, total neighborhood domination. No one else scores a perfect 10 lawn. Hit TopDressing.com now. You will own the block. Top dress your yard like the pros with TopDressing.com.
Is your backyard ready for the big leagues? Pick it here for Surfside Pools. Serving Northeast Florida since 1977, they have the home field advantage. Family owned and operated, offering weekly pool service, equipment repairs, commercial maintenance, remodels, and new pool construction. Let Surfside Pools make your backyard dreams a reality. Are you ready to float happy? Visit SurfsidePools.net or call 904-246-2666. Surfside Pools and Spas, your hometown MVP.
License number CPC 044080.
ET here, and if you've ever been injured in an accident, visit my buddy Dr. McGowan at McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation Center. You have 14 days to see a doctor and protect your insurance benefits, even if you're at fault. And no matter what you hear, you have the right to choose your own doctor. So I recommend McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation. Their auto experts will guide you in every step of the way to ensure the care that you need. Your recovery starts with McGowan Spinal Rehabilitation.
Hey, Hickett here. Think you got the ugliest garage floor on the First Coast? Your garage a crack-stained hot mess? Hold on to your squeegee. Checkmate Coatings is hunting for the worst garage floor out there. And the winner gets a free garage coating makeover. Whoa! Take 10 seconds. Snap a pic of that garage eyesore. Register at checkmatecoatings.com/contest for a chance to win a free floor coating. It's easy. Just snap a quick pic and enter for a chance to win at checkmatecoatings.com/contest. Checkmate Coatings, your floor's missing piece.
What does AM and PM stand for in terms of the clock?
Southern Oak Insurance is proud to continue offering coverage statewide. Financial stability makes Southern Oak Insurance a wise choice for your homeowner's insurance needs. Log on to southernoak.com.
Our family protecting yours. Southern Oak Insurance.
AM stands for anti-meridium, before midday, and PM stands for post-meridium, afternoon.
Southern Oak Insurance. Our family protecting yours.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville. Now more Jaguars Today on 1010XL.
Rolling along here on a Thursday edition of Jaguars Today. Here on 1010XL, John Shipley joining us in studio for the program here this morning. We were talking comedy during the break here and some of the best comedies of the past. When's the last great comedy?
Patrice O'Neal, Elephant in the Room.
That's around the same era that I was thinking.
I'm struggling. I'm struggling to think of the last great one, man. It's definitely a genre that's kind of been really hit in terms of movies. Maybe I don't know. Back when Jonah Hill was funny, maybe The Last of Us, that movie where Seth Rogen and all of them, and the apocalypse hits. And have you ever read any of the stories from that? Like, a lot of it was just impromptu, and they were just going completely off script. And sometimes they're just ripping into each other, and you're like, wow, this guy actually kind of actively hates this guy that he's working with.
There is like the Rogan movies have some of that to them.
Yeah.
Right?
Not The Last of Us. This is the end. I don't know.
Yeah, this is the end. Yeah. Like they have some of that kind of attitude to it, but even those just don't get made much anymore. And it makes sense. Like, people don't go to the theaters all that much anymore. So any of that's going to get made is basically made to stream.
Yeah.
It's the way that it's worked. I know one of the guys who worked here a couple of years ago was asking, why is everything going to stream? And I was like, well, when's the last time you went to a theater?
Man, I love the theater. I'm a movies guy. I used to have AMC when they had that really preposterous business plan. Not AMC didn't have it, but that Movie Pass place.
I was
all over Movie Pass. I had it when I moved to Orlando for college, and I'd be seeing random movies throughout the week. I saw that movie with The Rock, like Skyscraper. I got off work one night and saw it, and I get home and I'm like, why did I actually go do that? But I love going. I love going to the movie theater.
It only costs me whatever it takes me to get to the theater and home.
100%. I love the movie theater.
Yeah, and that was that's when I had to go get a job.
Yeah.
Right. When my dad was like, well, do you want to drive a car and pay for the gas? I was like, yeah. He's like, then get money.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and I was like, all right. So I went and got a job working at the Regal over there on Phillips Highway. That's where I met Hacker for the first time. Hacker and I have been friends a long time.
That's awesome.
But I'm working at the theater, and the reason I went to work at the theater is I can get free movies out of this.
Yeah.
Like, that's the reason I had the idea to work at the movie theater, was I can get free movies out of this. And it's funny. Then I was like, well, I love sports. Let me try to get in on sports, which is why I started working at the radio station.
100%.
When I did. And then I went and worked at Southampton for a couple of years because I was like, I might get free golf out of doing that. Like, that's always been the thing in the back of my mind, is what can I get free out of whatever job that I'm doing? What access am I going to get for free? And I was spoiled a little bit by the working at the movie theater experience, where they were all free for me for a very long time. Then Movie Pass came along, and I was like, you better believe
it was a business plan that made no sense when I signed up for it. And I was like, this definitely won't last, so I might as well do it while it's...
They brought it back a couple of years ago.
They did, but it's a shell of itself.
Yeah, it's not what it was.
The Frankenstein's monster version
That's
of it.
for sure. But I was right there with you. It was like, well, I'm not doing anything this afternoon.
Watching an NFL game in a movie theater, would that not be that should be, that's my pitch. If anybody starts doing that and they start playing the Super Bowl or playoffs in movie theaters, I want it to be known that I came up with it first. Just like I was pitching Chick-fil-A chicken wings back in college, and now I'm starting to see them pop up. I didn't get in on that either, but those who heard my rants know I had it first.
Let's get to some of the questions that we have some listeners sending in this morning. Cristiano, he asked this one yesterday too, but we got a new voice to answer it today. Better start. Which side of the ball do you think will be better to start the year?
I think offense. I think that in most cases, it's easier for a defense to improve year to year compared to offense. But I just think with the pieces that they have on this offense, and with Liam Cohen overseeing it, that this offense will be able to come out of the gate, maybe not firing on all cylinders, but at least a marked improvement from last year. And I expect the defense to be improved from last year as well, but I also expect the defense to be better by the end of the year than it is at the start of the year, if that makes sense. Once the guys kind of mesh together, get in the system a little bit, whereas the offense, I just think Liam and his scheme, he can have Trevor producing. He can have Brian Thomas Jr. producing right away.
Do you think, say early on in the season, which side of the ball do you think Travis Hunter will be a more effective player on?
Man, that's tough. I said this the other night when I was calling the RJ show. I said I think if Travis Hunter was only focusing on corner and wasn't practicing on offense, etc., that's just, they were saying, hey, you're a corner, that's where you're going to play 100% of your snaps. I think he would be a top 10 cornerback in the NFL by the end of the season. I just think he is so ready to go in there and make a role. When I was seeing him cover guys in the offseason program, and it's just the offseason program, so you obviously have to take it with a pinch of salt, but he was just completely blanketing guys. And you add in his ball skills and his receiver background, and I think he can be dynamite playmaker there. So I think maybe you see him start to make a lot of plays on defense, but then on the other hand, on offense, even while he's learning the offensive side of the ball and the scheme and playing the receiver position, just his natural traits, he can make some game-changing plays on the offense. And in terms of, would you prefer bigger plays on offense or defense? Well, you probably lean offense because then those plays can score. So I think probably bigger impact on offense, but I think right out of the gate, he's going to be a shutdown style cornerback.
Hilton asking on X, in reference to your article about the top 3 worst signings in franchise history, what 2 players would you add to make that a top 5 list?
I think Julius Thomas. I had several people yell at me for not including him. I wasn't trying to exclude him. They've had lots of bad free agents, certainly more bad ones than they've had good ones. Sure. So I think I could have named a lot of guys. I could have named Zane Beadles. I could have named Devon House. I could have named, in my opinion, Andrew Norwell would be an option. Joe Schobert, I think, would be an option. Literally only lasted 1 season where they won a game, and then the next season got shipped off for a ham sandwich while they put a complete journeyman NPC at linebacker. There were a lot of guys to put there, but I think Julius Thomas is one of them. You know, they were expecting him to be one of the best tight ends in the NFL, and he very quickly became kind of just a guy lost in the shuffle. Jerry Porter's definitely up there, I think. I think Jared Odrick is probably up there. Just didn't get a lot, out of him in his time. There's certainly been a lot of guys you can put on that list, but I think Julius Thomas definitely and Jerry Porter. But no matter how you slice it, I think Nick Foles is the worst free agent signing the franchise has ever made. The money they put into him, the fact that came at the quarterback position, the fact that virtually everybody but them knew, hey, this guy kind of only got hot during this 2-game stretch. This isn't really who he is. And then on top of all that, Nick Foles, his baseline of play was so low that he very easily got replaced by a 6th-round rookie who nobody was expecting to play a role in the season at all. So you can add a couple guys to that, but no matter which way you slice it, I think Nick Foles has to be at number 1. And I remember, maybe I'm being unfair to him, but I remember going to some of those press conferences and being, what checking the watch and wondering, okay, when's this gonna wrap up?
Yeah, one of the more embarrassing moments I can remember in franchise history is the need that everyone felt to follow him from the airport to the stadium on live TV. It's just like, what are we doing for Nick Foles?
Nick Foles, baby. I've written about this story before, but I remember in 2019. So, if you've been into the Jaguars locker room in the stadium, right outside the locker room, there's another room where the coach can kind of go into, and a lot of time you'll see the coach go into and debrief, whether with the GM, whether with the owner. I remember leaving after, I think it was the last start Nick Foles made for the Jaguars against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at home. It was after Tom Coughlin came with that really random press conference in the middle of the week, basically begging fans to please keep coming to the home games, etc. And Nick Foles he was brutal. The fans booed him. Gardner Minshew ended up going in for him. And I remember leaving the locker room after that game, and I could still hear people with the Jaguars management arguing Nick Foles, Gardner Minshew in that room. Not going to put any names to it or anything like that, but that signing was such a debacle that the people involved in it were literally fighting with each other while everybody's still in the locker room after a game.
I think we know that the Jaguars are listening to our episode of the show this morning because the parties that needed to be involved have gotten involved. Jack Kaiser has signed. So you can take yourself off the watch list for whether or not Jack Kaiser is going to get the deal done. We got it done, everybody. So the Jaguars have all their draft picks in with training camp beginning next week. We got a British Open update coming up for you here. Still 4 under the lead out there across the pond, as they say. We'll get you an update from out there, and we'll wrap it up when we return. You're listening to a Thursday edition of Jaguars Today on 1010 XL.
This Open Championship update on 1010XL is teed up by TopDressing.com and 904 Gutters with a Z.
Westwood One Sports presents this special report on the 153rd British Open, sponsored by Prevagen. Prevagen, made for your brain. Welcome to your first British Open, J.J. Spawn. The U.S. Open champ from last month was put on the clock late in the round for slow play. Officials gave Spawn 50 seconds to hit his approach at 17, but time ran out. The result? A bad time warning. One more of those tomorrow, and it's a one-stroke penalty. Spawn shot a 2 over 73. He's 6 back. Matt Fitzpatrick, Hao Tong Lee, and Jakob Skov Olesen are in the lead and in the clubhouse at 4 under. Olesen went through final qualifying to earn his way to Royal Portrush. He sank a 40-foot putt for eagle at 12 and chipped in for birdie at 15. Of course, Scotty Scheffler is lurking, even if it is links golf. 3 under 68 today for Scheffler, despite hitting only 3 fairways all day. He birdied 16 and 17. I'm Ted Emmerich, Westwood One Sports.
David is a real Prevagen user, and this is his story.
Nice to meet you. My name is David. I've been a pharmacist for 44 years, and I'm from Flowery Branch, Georgia. When I first started taking Prevagen, I noticed stuff just seemed to come together and fit like a jigsaw puzzle. When I have customers come in, I recommend Prevagen. Number one, because it's safe and effective, does not require a prescription, and I've been taking it quite a while myself, and I know it works. I wouldn't recommend something like Prevagen if I didn't think it was worth it, because it works so good for me. And I love it when the customers come back in and tell me, David, that really works so good. Makes my day.
Prevagen, at stores everywhere without a prescription. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Testimonialist was compensated for their time.
Jaguars Today. From the Renewal by Anderson Custom Windows and Doors Studios of 1010XL.
At Cannons of Jacksonville, they know that when you're towing anything, you gotta have products you can rely on. With over 50 years of fabrication expertise, the family at Cannons can repair or install precisely what you need to tow with confidence. Whether it's a heavy-duty hitch, trailer frame, gooseneck, tow bar, or any other towing accessory, Cannons will provide you with unmatched precision and durability. For all your towing needs, visit cannonsofjacks.com, where quality and customer satisfaction collide.
Firehouse Subs has fries. Their hometown hero since '94 just cranked up the heat. Hot subs, crispy fries, golden, pillowy on the inside, and perfectly seasoned. Over 30 Jacksonville locations. Firehouse Subs, homegrown and now with fries.
Have you got concrete or asphalt rubble piling up? Arcosa Crushed Concrete will pay you for it and recycle it. They're just minutes from Everbank Stadium on Talleyrand. Call Arcosa Crushed Concrete and get paid for what you don't need. ArcosaCrushedConcrete.com.
Jaguars Today, Thursday, is brought to you by
Cannons of Jacksonville.
It's tune-up time, and Florida Home AC, the official AC partner of the Jaguars, wants to partner with you for a cool summer season. Tune up your AC unit right now so it's running at peak performance when you need it most. Just call 777-4300 and order a tune-up for just $59. Keep your unit humming at optimal level. Log on to FloridaHomeAC.com and take advantage of their savings. Keep cool with Florida Home AC. That's 777-4300.
If you are an experienced electrician looking for your next big opportunity, look no further than the Miller Electric Company, a trusted name in the industry for over 96 years. At Miller Electric, we tackle the biggest projects in the city, offering you the chance to showcase your skills on a grand scale. We believe in rewarding hard work with the best pay, top-notch benefits, and an unbeatable culture where people actually care about each other. Take your career to new heights with Miller Electric Company. Apply today at millercareers.com. Miller Electric, an equal opportunity employer.
It's kind of like his own private locker, and you're his guest.
Every time we talk, I'm reinvigorated by my love of the game.
Hayes Carline here. Find my blog at 1010XL.com.
Hayes Blog is brought to you by Roland Reach Plumbing, where quality and experience count.
Right now, you may be running a little late, or feeling stressed, or overwhelmed, and you may be going a bit over the speed limit. So to help you relax, exhale. Ease up on the gas. You'll get there when you get there. Take a moment to just chill. This little break is brought to you by Target Zero and the Florida Department of Transportation.
Yo, ET here, and I need you to beat the heat this summer with cool escapes and non-stop fun in Clay County. Tackle indoor adventures head on throw axes at Live by Axe or smash your stress away at Just Smash That. Then kick back with drinks, good food, and fandom vibes at Nakama Anime Bar or Leaderboard Arcade and Bar. Whether you're blowing off steam or just looking to chill, Clay County got your perfect indoor getaway. Find your cool at exploreclay.com. That's exploreclay.com.
Football season is almost here, so before it arrives, I'm going to get my home organized. Lauren Brooks here. Closets by Design creates custom storage for every space, lifestyle, and budget. From closets to garages to laundry rooms or entertainment centers. Anywhere that needs to be organized. Call today to schedule a free in-home consultation and receive 40% off plus an additional 15% off with free installation. Yes, that's 40% off plus an additional 15% off during the month of July. Call 878-9393 or visit closetsbydesign.com.
Hey, Googans, Hicken here, and I just want to once again give you this very simple reminder. Wear sunscreen. If you're outside a lot, bring the screen. Put some in your truck, on your boat, in your golf bag, whatever, wherever. Just use it, please. It's hot out there, and I just want you to protect yourself. I use it like it's cool because I think it is. But what's not cool, that's skin cancer. You don't want to deal with that. Go get yourself checked out. It could save your life. Go to beachesdermatology.com and schedule your appointment today. That's beachesdermatology.com.
Hey, Jacksonville, need a fence and ready to save? At Superior Fence and Rail, you'll lock in 5% off your fence project when you sign by the end of July. A limited time offer for savings and peace of mind this summer. Now accepting appointments for a free estimate. So act fast and get 5% off your entire fence project when you finalize by July 31st. Cannot be combined with other offers. New contracts only.
SuperiorFenceandRail.com.
I'm with Greg from Cycles of Jacksonville. You're on-road, you're off-road, now you're on the water. Greg, tell everybody what Coach and Honda is offering in the form of boats.
We've got the Honda boat, which is a great runabout fisherman. We've got the Coach boats. They're fantastic for getting out with a family. Nice lay-down beds, all with that legendary Honda motor on.
Check them all out. They're waiting for you. You can see how you can be on the water with Honda or with Coach pontoon boats. Cycles of Jacksonville on Atlantic near Regency.
1010XL is presented by Farah & Farah, exclusive injury law firm of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Protecting you and your family. Call 396-5555. Jacksonville.
Now the cool down with Donovan Air, Electric and Plumbing. Keeping Jack's cool since 87.
Doing what we can today to have you ready for training camp next week for the Jacksonville Jaguars. The tentative plan is for Dempsey and I to be out there for the beginning of training camp next week. Nothing officially in the works yet, but we should know maybe as we get through the weekend exactly what that's going to look like. But the plan is for us to be out there for the days that we can be out there for the show. So we'll see on that as we're all excited to get out there for training camp starting next week for the Jacksonville Jaguars. John Shipley joining us on the show this morning as we continue to talk a little bit about some of the bigger questions and storylines for the football team going into training camp next week. I got one more question that I want to ask you here, Ship, and I guess we can make this our 10-10 take today.
10-10
take.
Now, Mike Dempsey's 10-10 take is serviced by Ideal Conditions Heating and Air, your go-to local HVAC company, veteran owned and operated.
We haven't talked much about this kind of thing in a while because it does feel like it's kind of gone to the back burner, and maybe it's coming back into some fans the front of their mind a little bit with the extensions that we've seen get done this week. But we did have one question come in this morning. What would you be willing to pay Trayvon on an extension, and do you think a deal gets done with him before the end of the 2025 season?
I think Josh Hines-Allen got $28 million last year.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say around $28 million, because if you factor in the cap rising and stuff, then $28 million this upcoming offseason or even now is different than when you paid Josh Hines-Allen $28 million last year. I'm not sure if you can get into that $30 million range where some of the top guys are right now. Obviously, when Micah Parsons signs his new deal, he'll kind of redefine the very ceiling of it. I don't think Trayvon Walker is going to be one of the absolute highest paid players in the entire NFL like those guys, but I do think it will be quite a bit. So I'd say about $28 million, I think, is where you just take everything into account: his draft pedigree, his production, the fact that every coaching staff and every front office who has been with the franchise since he's been here has absolutely loved the guy, including the new one. You talk to people in the building like I have over the course of the offseason, and he is one of the guys that this new regime is just all in on. He's still really, really young. I want to say he's 24, maybe 25. So I think all those signs point to him signing something close to probably a $30 million contract. I think Josh Hines-Allen got a little bit above 28. So I'd say somewhere around that ballpark I think would make sense.
Do you think, one, we know early in the offseason it had been brought up that they had at least started discussing an extension with Trayvon, though nothing further has been said about it, as we've gone throughout the offseason here. But he is 24, turns 25 in December.
Still got it.
Yeah. Do you think if they were making the $28 million a year offer right now, do you think it would have already gotten done?
That's tough because, like I said, it is a market that I still like. If you're Trayvon's camp, do you need to necessarily rush into it? You're already getting the 5th-year option.
You got time.
You already know that one way or another, you're going to get paid, by the Jaguars. And even if it weren't by the Jaguars, somebody's going to pay Trayvon Walker a pretty penny. I don't think it's a sense where I don't think it's like the Josh Hines-Allen situation where it was very clear, like he was ready to get paid then and now. And I think Trayvon knows that when it's going to come is when it's going to come. So if I was this camp, maybe you don't need to necessarily jump right into it right away because, maybe even wait until Aiden Hutchinson gets paid because maybe that kind of sets, something where, hey, I know you guys didn't draft him, but the Jaguars did draft him before Aiden Hutchinson. His production's been really good the last 2 years. Obviously, Aiden Hutchinson's production has been pretty spectacular himself. It's not a direct apples and apples comparison, but I do think that it's something that you will see happen eventually, maybe even during the season, which we've only seen one extension happen in the middle of the season over the last couple of years. It was weirdly Walker Little's contract. They had this thing in place for years where we don't negotiate contracts in season, and then out of nowhere, Walker Little gets the most random contract extension of the last couple of years. So, but I do think you could potentially see it, and that isn't me reporting, I'm hearing that or anything. I'm just using logic. Right. I think you could see it happen during the season.
What is your sense of, look, it was Balky who gave the extension to Walker Little.
Yeah.
Right? What is your sense of how the new faces that would be making the decisions about Walker Little, like if he was a free agent this offseason, who knows? What would have wound up happening with Walker Little. But he's here now. He's under a long-term deal. It really kind of is. He's the left tackle for another year, if that's what they want it to be. And we'll see what happens beyond that. But what is your sense of how the new minds in the building feel about Walker Little being the left tackle?
I think, was it something where when they entered the offseason program, maybe they still have some questions about? I could see that because you're still getting to know the guy. You're still, the guy who probably has the best insight for Walker Little is Tony Boselli because he's obviously been very invested in watching the team very closely throughout Walker Little's career, etc.
That's his spot.
Exactly. I get the impression that, a lot of people had the idea, myself included, that Walker Little and Anton could be facing some competition during the offseason program. You maybe saw it a little bit to start, but I'd say about halfway through the offseason program, there wasn't any competition for Walker Little. It was very clearly he was the guy taking all the first team reps, whatever you want to call it. So I think if that says anything, maybe that says that, they've kind of come to terms and realize, even positively that, hey, Walker Little is the best left tackle on this roster. Because I think that's the case. I don't think, if they had Fred Johnson compete with him and if it was a true competition, I would think Walker Little would have won it, but judging on the usage during the offseason program, it seems like they're all in on Walker Little, at least for 2025.
How quickly do you expect Wyatt Milam to be a starting offensive lineman for the team?
I think it's going to be a battle at left guard. I do think that he'll have a chance to fight with Ezra Cleveland for it. Now, does that necessarily mean just because they draft him in the 3rd round, he's going to start week 1? I don't think so. I think he will have to win the job. And I do think Ezra Cleveland is going to open camp as the starting guy because I think from their perspective, they want rookies to, again, not just be given a spot. They want them to actually be the best guy for that spot. So I think they want Wyatt Milam to go out there, and if he's going to become a starter, to actually take it from Ezra Cleveland as opposed to just being given it to him. But I also don't think Ezra Cleveland, necessarily say he starts the season as the left guard.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure he necessarily has the longest of leashes because, they've said before, they want their rookies to play. And at some point or another, Wyatt Milam's going to be in there. So I think probably the latest you see it is halfway through the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Maybe coming out of the bye.
Yeah.
Somewhere in that kind of range. But the text line mentioning, while we're talking about Trayvon Walker and the contracts and Hutchinson and what these different things will look like, we don't know what's going to happen with TJ Watt and his contract at this point in time. But the same thing was going on when it was all going on with Josh Hines-Allen. It was what's going to happen with Bosa out there in San Francisco, because that's going to set wherever the bar is going to be. It's going to be around there. He's not going to get more than Bosa, but I think everyone was waiting to see what's Bosa going to get so we can figure out where we match up in this hierarchy and get the right deal done. Well, they eventually got it done with Josh Hines-Allen, but doing it a year later than they could have probably cost them a little bit of money.
Definitely.
In the end, and we'll see if they get into a similar situation with Trayvon, but I have that sense too. I don't think there's any urgency from the Trayvon side of it to get anything done at this point in time. So we'll see. They got him here for a couple more years. We'll see exactly where that's going to wind up. We'll say goodbye to John Shipley here in just a moment, but before we do that, let's say hello to XL Primetime.
Now, the 2-minute drill on 1010XL.
How you doing, Leon?
I'm good.
Leon Searcy joining us, XL Primetime, coming up next. For you, Leon, and I know you guys are going to be talking about this kind of stuff every day going into camp next week.
Mm-hmm.
What is the story that you're watching as we go into camp next week?
Well, I'm biased. It's always going to be about the offensive line.
All good.
And their play. I'm going to be watching them intensely because they're going to be the pivotal point of this team's success, because they've got so many different variables involved with guys from free agency. You got rookies who can be competing for jobs and stuff like that, the tackle play. So I'm going to be watching them very closely.
What is your expectation for them this year?
The O-line or the team?
O-line.
Well,
it's kind of the same question.
Well, that's true. That's true. Well, listen, I hope they play a lot better than they played last year. That's not saying much.
Mm-hmm.
But I expect them to play, above average, sort of say. I'm not expecting them to be a top 10 offensive line. I just want them to be adequate. I want them to. It was times last year where I prayed for stalemates. We couldn't get stalemates. I prayed for them. So, tackle for losses, that kind of stuff. I'm just hoping that the chemistry's together, because there's no real particular starting lineup right now, because during mini camp and during OTAs, it was a lot of mixing and matching and guys coming in and out, whether first team, second team, whatever. But it's going to be, they've got to make sure that the five are in sync before the season starts. I
know, like last year when they signed Mitch Morse at center, and my reaction to it was, just get out of the way, right? Like, it felt like what was going on with Fortner, they couldn't function with him playing center anymore. So just bring Morse in, get them out of the way. And it does feel like that's kind of where the expectation level is with the offensive line. Just stop stopping us from being able to have some level of success.
Well, I felt bad for Fortner because he did come in his rookie year, and he was pretty good his rookie year. And then he kind of slipped off, and then he was made the scapegoat for the reason why the offensive line, and then they didn't make any real changes, and they said, we're going to run this thing back. But unfortunately, there was a lot of bad that was in front, on that offensive line. It was just exposed because they were telling us that Fortner was the problem, and then when the season went, when we got Mitch Morris, we understood that everybody was the problem on the offensive line.
No doubt. What do you got coming up today on Prime Time?
Well, we got one more day of SEC Media Day. Matt Hayes is still there. He's working on that. And then we're going to talk a little Jags at training camp. Rookies report in 2 days.
You got it, yeah. We're right here, baby.
Yeah,
it's training camp.
Yeah, it is. You know one thing I don't like about rookies coming in? They're not stressed in any capacity. Because they're not. Because I knew my rookie year when I came in, we had a conditioning test. So I was stressed the whole week about how I was going to pass it.
Yeah.
You know what our conditioning test was at Pittsburgh?
What?
20/40s. 20. And
Is there a time you had to beat?
Yeah, 20. Huh?
there a time you had to beat?
Oh, you had to time. Well, they took the fastest offensive lineman, which was Damani Dawson, and then they added 2 seconds onto that. So Damani ran like a 4.65.
Slow down.
You know what I'm saying? So we had to run a 6.6, and they had a timer that you had to cross. And if you didn't cross, it didn't count.
Yeah. Well, that's how you know. That's why he's in the Hall of Fame. Because he's the guy that you're all trying to match.
That part.
Right. And he doesn't take it easy on y'all.
Yeah, he didn't.
I'm going to set the bar, boys.
He did.
Good luck. All right, Leon, we'll
All right,
be
bro.
listening.
Appreciate it.
As we are. We're just a few days away from the rookies reporting for camp. John, appreciate you coming in for us this morning. I'm sure we'll catch up with you at some point out there at camp, if not next week, the week after, as we know you'll be out there for all that. What do you got coming up between now and the start of camp?
Yeah, no, absolutely. We're going to keep looking at some of our, like I mentioned, best of Jaguar series, just some stuff to kind of kill the time before camp. Who are some of the best players, best draft picks, etc. We had a story go up last week on Jimmy Smith talking about Brian Thomas Jr. and how he's the first real candidate, it looks like, who, while it's still early, can potentially chase his records and stuff, etc. I want to thank you not only for having me, but thank you to the listeners of 1010 for always, supporting, the questions, being excited I'm on it, stuff. It makes me, coming here. I love doing it, and I appreciate you, and I appreciate all the listeners.
We love having you in, Ship, and again, thank you for coming in for a couple of hours this morning. We'll be looking for all your coverage leading up to and throughout training camp next week. So, for John Shipley, for Dylan Denmark, for an on-assignment Mike Dempsey, I'm Tony Smith. XL Primetime coming up next, right here on 1010 XL.
Jaguars Today.